Versa best company.
Versa Business System.
It's a better
Versa Business System.
Versa Business System.
Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder and CEO of Versa Business System, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with a guest today who's an expert in bookkeeping, accounting, fractional CFO, Natalia. Thanks for joining us today. Your company is Zacharin Consulting, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
awesome,
nice to be here.
Awesome. I'm so glad that we finally got on today. So for those out there that don't know who you are and what Zacharin does, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you guys do.
Absolutely. So most other accounting firms, they do bookkeeping, payroll. We do all of that as well. The way we're a little bit different is that, first of all we're QuickBooks online specialists. So we don't do any of like the desktop or anything like that. We're very well versed in technology and systematizing, streamlining, automating systems, the entire process. And then we have a controller that reviews everything for technical accuracy. So it's a much higher level. And the best part is that the fractional CFO. So we're really strategic partners with business owners to help them scale, grow, increase profit, all the good things.
So it sounds like you're an all-around business consulting firm. Is that how you would categorize yourselves?
Yes, that is definitely how, with the real emphasis on numbers.
Right. Well, that's what matters the most in business, right? Whether it's
I think so.
Whether it's the data or the analytics or the money or it's all numbers, right?
It's all numbers. It's all data driven, and that doesn't lie. There's no emotion.
Yeah.
It tells you the truth.
Exactly. Always. So how did you get into this? How long have you guys been around now?
We've been around 6 years.
Okay.
We have a team of 12 currently. We're virtual, so we work with anybody that's it's a US based business.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you're at. And we started in 2019. Nice. And I kind of jumped in by accident.
I get that. That's kind of how I started too. So 2019, right before COVID.
Yes.
Where people needed help the most.
It was a little bit crazy because in February 2020, I was just finally feeling it. And then suddenly everything shuts down in March, April. And I could see all of the numbers for like literally all of my clients, their revenue just dwindling. And I'm thinking, I'm going to lose my shirt on this. Like I'm not going to survive. So that's not true in a time of turmoil. It's actually a fantastic opportunity to do more and pivot. So I pivoted into really learning how to apply for EIDLs and PPPs and the forgiveness, and people didn't have good financials in order to apply. So we just, I increased, it was just me at that time. I increased my sales. Like I always say, if it's a bad market, it just, talk to more people.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so somebody asked me the other day, they're like, I saw something about like recession. Like, is that going to affect us? Like, yeah, it's going to affect us tremendously in the best way possible. Right. Like in bad times, people need help more than ever. And when you're a company that focuses on helping people, that just means you got to help more people.
That is absolutely true. I think that having some kind of strategy and being able to bounce ideas off of someone is super important.
Definitely.
And it really helps you stay like a couple steps ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I try to have a team meeting at least 2 or 3 times a week where we
Yes.
literally bounce ideas. Hey, what are some new things we should be doing? Right? What are some new ways that are working, not working, whatever. And it's really helped propel our company. Now we're getting on this crazy growth pattern, and it's just like it's overwhelming at times, but it's really cool to think about like where we were just a year ago to where we are and the kind of problems that we have now. It's just like night and day. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
prayed for these problems years ago.
Yes. Yeah. It's very chaotic to grow quickly.
Yeah.
And you have to have, you really have to be able to pinpoint what's happening and see the trend of where you're headed, because when you're growing super fast, there's a possibility that you're spending a lot more and your profit might tank.
Oh
So
yeah.
keeping up
And there's a very fine line, because
It is.
when you're growing quickly, I had a guy that was looking at my books the other day, and he's like, "It's going out as fast as it's coming in." I'm like, "I know, right?" Like he's like, "So you guys must be growing quickly, right?" I'm like, "Yes, we are." Like it's literally, and it can be scary. It can definitely be scary, but if you're making the right decisions, there's nothing to really worry about, because it's gonna keep on that flow. But so you made a very good point. You pivoted, right? So during COVID, you pivoted into PPP, EIDL. It's funny, right before we got on this call, I just got an email from one of our EIDL partners, or our ERC partners.
Oh, yes.
And the ERC checks are starting to go out again, and it's crazy. Like we did well over 100 million in ERC.
Yes.
I think it was about 180 million.
Crazy.
And that was supposed to be our money for our scale, right? And it didn't work out that way because everything stopped.
Yeah.
And so like 80% of our files still don't have their checks. They're starting to get them now, but it's just funny because the last year has been a real struggle, because the millions of dollars we were going to use, we didn't have. So we just had to keep grinding and make it work either way. And now that money is going to come, we don't necessarily need it as much,
That's a better place to be.
Exactly. I'm just like, man, it's crazy, but pivoting is key, right? There's always going to be changes. There's always going to be things that happen in the world, in your life. I mean, you cannot predict the future. As long as you have the ability to be able to adapt, you'll be fine. So Natalia, other than adapting, what are some other things that has made you obviously successful and get to the point where you're at today in just 6 years?
I think one of the most important things is momentum in sales and the pipeline. Up until the end of last year, so that means more than 5 years, I was still doing my own sales and running a company and hiring and still doing CFO calls. And I got really good. You have to get good at sales. No one has more skin in the game than the owner.
100%.
And people like to buy from the owner. Now I have a sales team 100%. That I'm training and working with, but you can't stop that momentum. The minute you stop the momentum of reaching out to people and that lead generation, that pipeline, it drops. It's very hard to restart it.
100%. So I recently hired kind of a friend, and he used to do some photography stuff for me, and now he's kind of taking over my marketing. And I had explained that to him, like, if you slow down for just 2 days, it could be weeks of setting you back, because you've lost the momentum. And like, you may think, okay, well, 1 day is not going to hurt us, or 2 days not going to hurt us, but it does tremendously. It literally, whatever you do this week is going to affect the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes. And people slow down when they get too busy, and that's actually a terrible time to slow down.
Yeah.
Because you're doing well. So keep it up.
When you get too busy, you do not want to slow down. You want to kind of speed it up.
Yes. Yeah. Build that momentum and ride with it, because it's not going to last forever.
100%. When you've got that wave, you got to ride with it, because you're right. It's not going to last forever.
Yes. So you don't want to superficially shut it down.
Yep. Exactly. So tell me a little bit about your clients. So, um, are they coming to you? Are you doing more marketing to find them? And then what are they coming to you for usually in the beginning?
Good question. So a combination. We do have clients that come to us. Sometimes they find us. Sometimes they're referrals from clients.
Right.
We actually built into the system some referral partners. Like I collaborate
Yeah.
with
We
other
we just
people.
started focusing solely on referral partners.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
it's
I
been
will say
great.
that referrals and people coming to your business is not predictable.
Right.
So we also run ads.
Yeah.
I'm going to start webinars, and I do email marketing.
Awesome.
Just like all the things. I connect with people on LinkedIn. So I thought LinkedIn was dead because I was getting a ton of spam, but I just restarted connecting with people on LinkedIn, and everybody's responding and connecting. So it's pretty awesome. So that's a great
Interesting.
place. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. So like I gave up on LinkedIn a long time ago
Me too.
because every time I would try to reach out to somebody, they would have a conversation until they're like, all right, now I'm going to pitch you what I'm selling. And
Yes.
it's like everybody on LinkedIn is trying to sell what they have, and it just never seemed to be productive.
Yes. And
So you haven't found that?
it does. You start after a while, you get used to figuring out who's going to sell you. You can kind of
Right.
sniff it out before it happens.
Right.
It's just experience. But I think the most important thing on LinkedIn is that headline. So as soon as you respond, they see the headline in the message
Right.
that needs to say what you do or how you can help.
Right.
Because if they have a need, they'll be like, oh, yeah, by the way, I have a question, or by the way, something's going on. And I'm not salesy when I connect with someone. I say, hey, how are you doing? How's this year going for you so far? So I
Right.
start a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So they're coming to you because they need help with, is it more organizational or what is the problem
Everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it's everything. So sometimes we get clients who have never done any kind of bookkeeping. I'm a huge fan, obviously, because I'm an accountant, but I'm a huge fan of bookkeeping.
Yeah.
That is really the only way that you can tell what's happening in your business.
Yeah.
So
This is the only way you can tell if you're profitable or not. And
yes.
sadly, most companies aren't profitable.
So yes, there's huge statistics on like most companies do not make it because they're not watching their financials.
Right.
They have no idea what's happening, or if they don't know how to read their financials and they don't know what's happening, even if they do know how to read them, they don't know how to translate that into next steps. Like what should I do about it?
Yeah.
So bookkeeping is actually the foundation, right? You need to hire someone that's a professional and that really understands how to do it accurately and timely. So usually people come to us because they either don't have good bookkeeping, it's a mess, or they haven't done anything. So we are kind of known, we're becoming known in the industry that if you've got like 5 years of information that you haven't done anything with, we'll wrap it up for you in like a month or two. Like we're really fast.
Wow.
So like we have an entire system and process. So a lot of people come to us because they haven't filed taxes. Some people come to us because they're in trouble with the IRS. And then some people just come to us because they've heard that it's very, most people don't know how to become more profitable, and they don't know how to build cash in the bank, which is really important. And those two things actually are not the same.
Yes.
So they come to us because they want to figure out what to do.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, the word fractional CFO is thrown out around a lot nowadays. Up until I'd say probably like 2 years ago, I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
And it's fractional for all these different positions are amazing because now you can be a small business and have a badass fractional CFO. It's just like having a full-time one, except for you're only paying them when you need them.
Yes, it's amazing because this was not an opportunity that other businesses could have. Like hiring a CFO is going to be like a good one is going to cost you over $200,000 to $250,000, maybe even more in salaries plus benefits.
Exactly.
Right? So this is an opportunity for you to have someone in your court with that experience that can help you when you need it. And we have a monthly cadence where we have certain reports that we go over, but it's really the conversation. The report starts the conversation, the numbers start the conversation, but it's the conversation that is extremely valuable. So you get the time of the person that has not only the experience in building and scaling and becoming profitable, but we
Right.
see patterns of what's working because we're working with so many different businesses. So you start
Right.
seeing patterns of what actually works.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, one thing that I had recommended actually somebody get a fractional CFO,
Yes.
and they had a side to it that I'd never thought about before. He said, "Well, a fractional CFO is not part of the company, so what is going to drive them to do what's best for my business?" He said, "I know if I hire a full-time CFO, they're going to do whatever they can to look the best and make the company the best because they work for that company. What's good for the company is good for them. Maybe they have bonuses or whatever. And the more that company grows, the more that job is more valuable and they get, increase in salary or whatever." What is kind of the response to that for a fractional CFO not really being a part of the business?
Sure. I think actually there's more risk for the fractional CFO, not for the business. There's no risk for the business. We personally, we don't have contracts. We put a lot of effort into the first several months, like the
Right.
first probably 3 to 6 months. We put a tremendous amount of effort. We don't charge more for it. We're hoping to establish a very long-term relationship
Right.
as we learn the business and as we're creating everything, but they can leave at any time. So I tell people all the time,
Gotcha.
I want you to love working with us or
Right.
you can leave. You
Right.
have all the options in the world. So because we're not contracted, it's really easy for someone to get rid of us. So we have to be absolutely excellent.
Right. Right. That makes sense. And now, are most of your clients doing everything with you? So they're doing the bookkeeping, they're doing the fractional CFO and the accounting and all that in the same place? Or do people piece it out between different companies?
Sometimes they piece it out. It depends on what they came to us with.
Right.
So sometimes they'll have an established bookkeeper that's doing a decent job, and then they just hire us to oversee it as a CFO or even as just a controller, just to make sure it's right.
Right.
We don't file any taxes. We don't prepare or file taxes. So everybody
Okay.
does have their own tax accountant.
Right.
Which
And
is
I've always been told it's better to have somebody separate file
It
your
is.
taxes because you want that person to be a little bit more flexible, I guess, than your bookkeeper. You want to the penny exact figures, and your accountant, you want them to kind of bend things as much as they can
Yes.
so
Well,
you're
there's an
not
art.
paying a ton of taxes.
Yeah, accounting is an art.
Yeah.
All of it, taxes, everything is kind of an art,
Right.
and it is flexible within the law.
Yeah.
However, accounting and bookkeeping is really different than taxes. So it's really hard for someone to be good at both, and it's hard for firms to really
That
be
makes
good at
sense.
both.
Yeah.
So we really specialize in that. So yeah, you asked me, like, people they come in all different areas. Sometimes they love their payroll company, so we don't move them. Sometimes, they like who they're working with. A lot of them don't want to have a CFO yet because they're not really scaling, or they're more like a lifestyle business. So if you're not planning on growing and scaling, it doesn't make sense to have a
Right.
fractional CFO.
Absolutely.
And some of them are just are small, so it's a combination. I think about 35 to 40% of our clients do CFO, and then we run payroll for over $2 million in salaries and wages a month for clients.
Right.
So we're actually kind of like a small payroll company at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys you have your own payroll company or part of your company, right? You're
Yes.
not outsourcing that.
Well, we're not outsourcing. We use a software, just like we use software for
Right.
bookkeeping. We use QuickBooks for
Very
bookkeeping, and we use Gusto for
Yeah.
payroll.
Payroll. Yeah, Gusto's great. That's
Yeah.
what we use too. Yeah, Gusto's been amazing.
Yeah, but people come to us a lot of problems with tax resolution issues,
Yeah.
with letters, and they don't know how to register for the state, so we handle all of that. And then we've got companies that have hundreds of employees that are hourly, and they don't want to run their own payroll. That's a mess.
Right.
So we do it.
Definitely. That's awesome. Very cool. So what are some ways that you help your clients save them some money? Like, are there different like programs that you guys do, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on what's happening in the business. Everything is very customizable.
Okay.
One thing, and I do recommend it when we're heading into an uncertain period, and I feel like the uncertainty timeframes now, the phases are going faster and faster. The cycles are faster. So I feel like a budget is really important for every business, so they know what they're spending. You are probably spending on things that you don't need. So that's the first thing, is to take a look at making sure nothing's being duplicated.
Right.
Are you using everything that you're paying for? People tend to sign up for software, and sometimes they sign up for continuing education and they don't use it.
Yeah.
Those are little things.
Yeah.
The big thing is going to be your marketing spend, your sales and marketing.
Right.
So that's really important that you're getting a return on investment, because they tend to get more and more expensive. And if you're not getting leads from your marketing, that's a problem. You have to figure out why that is, even if you're outsourcing, or if you have a salesperson and they're not closing deals, that's also an issue. And I don't necessarily think that's an issue. That's an opportunity to pinpoint what's going on and to do more training, or to dig in deeper and to make other decisions. Yeah. So, but those are some of the things that I would recommend, how to spend money wisely and or save money. I'm not a person that says don't go to Starbucks and get your coffee every day. If that inspires you to make millions, go for it.
Right. Absolutely. Everybody has their thing, right? Like, it's funny. I try to make it a very a strict rule of mine is, if it doesn't make me feel good, and I can't write it off, I'm not spending it.
Yes, exactly.
Period.
So I think that there's something to be said about feeling good, as long as you're turning around, you know that you're going to cover that. You're not living outside of your budget, or your business isn't outside of your budget, whatever that spending needs to be, so that your revenue covers everything. But I'm a big proponent of doing whatever it takes to make you feel empowered and inspired, because it's really hard to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, definitely. I read a stat the other day, 80% of people want to work for themselves. 3% do. Yes.
And it's even worse. Only 1% of all businesses. So I think it's 35 or 34.5 million businesses in the United States.
Yeah, it's just under 35 million. Yep.
Yes. So only 1% of all of those businesses make it to 7 figures. Only 0.4% of those are women owned.
Wow. 0.4?
0.4% are women owned businesses that make it to 7 figures. So if you're a lady out there and you're at 7 figures, kudos to you. Yeah. Or anybody.
I would have never guessed that in a million years. That's crazy.
Yes. And I don't know what the percentage is of businesses. So just because you're at $1 million or more doesn't mean you're profitable. I've seen businesses at 25 million losing money.
I've had 7-figure years that weren't profitable.
Yes. Yeah. So, profit is important.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's a lot more important than revenue.
A lot more. Sometimes I don't want to ever tell someone this, because everything is, there's always an option to change things and make them better. Yeah. And you can always make anything better in business.
100%.
But sometimes if people have been in business for a very long time and they don't make changes, or they don't get the help, and they've been unprofitable, they would have been ahead if they never started that business. Yeah. So make sure you're making a profit.
Yes, absolutely. It's there was a client we had early on, and I was very confused. The guy had been doing this for many, many years. And I'm like, you're not even making minimum wage. No. Like, why would you not just go work for someone? You'd be making 3 times the amount of money. Anyways, it was, long story short, the guy was kind of just wasn't a very, he wasn't a really nice guy. Like, I don't think he could have worked for someone. So that kind of made sense. But we were able to help him scale that to where all he did was book jobs. And I think literally within 6 months, he went from doing like $3,000 to $5,000 a month to doing 6 figures.
Nice.
And it was just some very small tweaks and changes. Yes. And it's amazing. But I could sit and talk all day about profit versus revenue. But
we have a story too. It's actually a logistics company that we worked with. They were at 25 million in gross revenue, and they were about 800,000 in negative profit. So negative 800,000. They hired a consultant that said, you need to close your doors. And so they came to us and we said, no, you don't need to close your doors. Let's just see what's going on.
Let's dive in and take a look.
And within 6 months, their profit improved, was a positive 200,000. So $1 million in a positive increase in 6 months when they were working with us. And then they actually sold their company. So it's really important to have the right people in your court.
Definitely. The right people with the right information makes all the difference.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly believe that the reason why most businesses fail is bad information, especially in this day and age. There's information everywhere. There's so much noise on Instagram with all these influencers and course sellers. And I mean, it's just gotten out of hand. And like most of the people doing these courses have never made $1 in their life. They're just trying to from this course.
Yes.
And it's like, it's just crazy.
You have to be careful. I wish I could tell people, hey, show me your P&L before I hire you as a coach. So I could see that, did you really do it or not? Yeah. I wish you could.
But people that have done it are not afraid to show the P&L. Have you noticed that? Like they will show that all day, every day. Why would you not if you've done it? So the ones that refuse, I don't even bother listening to.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have my own coaches. I'm in a mastermind. I'm in entrepreneur groups.
Same.
I heavily rely and believe in mentorship, training, courses.
There's nothing more important. You got to constantly learn. I mean, the world is forever changing.
Yes.
Right. We got to constantly learn just to keep up.
Yes, it's very important. And to be humble enough to take advice and actually
100%.
do it. Do what's uncomfortable.
Yes. Nothing kills businesses more than ego.
Yes, that's so
100%,
true.
100%. Well, Natalia, it's been great talking to you. What do you have for our guests and our listeners today?
Yes, I have a page specifically for this podcast for your listeners, for your audience. You'll find it under ZacharinConsulting.com backwards / Versa.
Okay.
Versa. Awesome. So easy to find. On there, you'll find 2 takeaways. One is 7 ways to find money in your business now, the free giveaway, and the other one is a checklist for the ultimate checklist for financial success in your business. And then there's also an opportunity if you want to jump on a financial consultation with us and have a chat. Our calendar link is there as well.
Awesome. How much does it cost to have a chat with you guys?
It's free to have a chat with us. It's not free to work with us, because, but it's free to have a chat with us, and we can diagnose what's happening.
Right. Very cool. Yeah. Awesome. So, I'll probably call you next week. I could always use another set of eyes to see what we could be doing better.
Yes, so for us, like a strategy session or the discovery call, whatever you want to call it, we call it strategy session. It's really to pinpoint what's happening. And even if you decide not to sign up with us, we hope that at least you have next steps.
Right. At least you got some information and some value out of it for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, Natalia. I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to our conversation next week. Hopefully your calendar's not full.
Yeah, absolutely. Not for you.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Natalia.
you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.